Using Google Forms and kind of the Google Sheets for about 4 years now. One of my first uses was doing an evaluation of student understanding, and we did a disease research project in 7th grade, and students were creating surveys to test outsiders' knowledge of understanding of disease. For example, they researched cholera, symptoms, treatments, is there a vaccine? And then they created questions, and it was a lesson itself of creating a good survey question and then pushing it out. And some kids were even using social media like Facebook. So it's kind of part of my teacher toolbox. I use it for different things. I just taught a health teacher that's not so tech savvy, but she does the Sunshine Committee, like our social club, and she's moving away from the paper survey and using Google Forms. Yay! So even the less techie are getting there.
Well, I've been using Google Forms for about 3 years, and I absolutely love it. It's made my job so much easier. The number one thing I use it for is for my students to turn in projects. Because what you can do is create a little form with just 3 little questions where they give you their full name, the little box for the share code of whatever project it is. It could be a Google form, it could be a Google website, it could be a Prezi. Anything that has a share code, they can turn it in through a Google form. And then you can put the class period, so you can have all 200 of your students turn in using this form. It comes into this beautiful, beautiful little spreadsheet in your drive where you can go in and quickly sort by their last names, by the class period. You can check your roll, you can see who's turned it in. You can also click on the link and sneak in there, so you can sit there and quickly watch them as they're doing their projects and give them comments and things like that. I used it for my yearbook class. They wanted to vote on the covers of the yearbook, so I quickly made up a form, and I had a Padlet that they looked at, and they saw all the images of their designs, and they were each numbered. So in the Google form, I had like 30 numbers, and it was like on the list category, so they could vote on their top 3. And then when you go into the Google form and you see summary of responses, boom. I mean, it shows you right away who won, and it shows you how many votes each person got. So that was so much easier, and I know people can think of ways to use it when you're voting on something or favorites or things like that.
I've been using Google Forms in my classroom pretty much as long as I could check out a computer cart in the building. I think I've utilized it more and more, better and better every year. It's really important to have all this information live somewhere and not necessarily have it be in stacks of papers that I can't search for or easily find the student in their work. And it's also an archive. Like, I can give something on paper, but usually that goes back to the student. And with Google Forms, I like to collect their thinking and then use it as part of looking at how they grew as a student over the year. I use it for an informal assessment. So the big place where I use Google Forms is I will almost daily, I'll have the students grab a computer, sign into my website, and go to a Google form that's always linked there. And I use the same Google form every day, I just change the question. And it's usually something about the big ideas we've been grappling with. And I have them, I talk about it first, and then I give them time to write. And then we actually project up on the board what the students are saying. And we project up on the board anonymously, and I think that's super important. Students who don't raise their hands, I include their voices whether other students know their voices are being included or not. So it's not like that wilting, I'm never going to raise my hand again thing. It's, oh, Mr. Lehman said he liked what I had to say. That's really cool. I can also use it for peer modeling. I put it up on the screen as I read it out loud, so they're seeing what other students in the same amount of time are writing. Am I the only student who's not capitalizing their sentences, putting end punctuation, basic stuff using capitalizing I? And if so, I can call that student out, but I can maintain some of their dignity by saying, this student isn't capitalizing their I's, instead of saying, Jimmy, you're not capitalizing their I's. And I think there's a huge difference there. You can go way down the rabbit hole. I've messed with regular expressions to actually make students have to answer questions in a certain way, so they have to capitalize their last name or it won't accept the form. And I think that's just like moving them towards professionalism on the computer by kind of gently nudging them in those kind of ways. And it's so versatile, and there's so many things you can do with it before, during, and after.